Alright, so welcome to my second video. This talks about integers under algebra, which is of course under mathematics. To recap, in my last video I discussed about my interests in tutoring in my channel, and something that I forgot about that is the science thing. So under the science, it's totally chemistry and physics, and not chemistry and science, because it may be redundant. Alright, now we are focusing on algebra, and later on we would add more topics other than mathematics and science, and that would be, I think, I would love to talk about accounting also, because I am an accounting major student, and much more things. First things first, I would like to introduce to you, especially to the grade 7 students and some people out there, the concept of integers. Alright. In our prior knowledge, in our prior education, elementary, we're being fond of having fractions like the very simple 1/2 or 0.5, the decimals. But of course, we have to understand those ideas. But now, in higher knowledge of mathematics, we have to inject or insert more knowledge, and I would like to point out the difference between numbers, like 0.5. 0.5, like this example, is equivalent to 1/2. Therefore, this takes this location over the number line. Also, say we'll have 0.0001. That's very pretty small number, but it is still greater than 0. Unless it is less than 0, it could be called a negative number, and that's what I would like to emphasize with this video, the negative numbers. Now, we are also interested about 0 and its properties. So later on in our education, we will be introduced with other properties of numbers. So this thing over here is greater than 0. This thing is a little bit greater than 0 but not equal to 0. Well, of course, lastly, 0 is always equal to 0. But with integers and the real number theory, we are to discuss about these numbers. These are called negative numbers because they are less than 0. When you are indebted, let's say in a store, I'm having a problem with that. Alright. When you're indebted in a store, you may want to use negative numbers to represent debts. Alright. And I would also like to introduce to you, if you were familiarized with absolute value. Alright. absolute values, by definition, are always positive. So this right hand part of the number line are positive ones, and this left hand are negative ones. So these are greater than 0, these are less than 0. So to get the whole thing in summation for the number line, if a number is positive and its absolute value is let's say huge, it is greater than 0. That's the fact. If a number's absolute value is a huge one, but it is negative, it is less than 0. So I hope I'm giving you a clear intuition about this number line. Okay, absolute value. For example, we have absolute value of 3. That would be equal to positive 3. Say we have absolute value of negative 2. We will have positive 2. I do not mean that we will have to negate this negative to have this positive, because absolute values are always positive. Now, when we get into the operations on integers, we'll have to discuss many more things, like firstly the application of absolute value and reciprocation. Like for example, in 1/2, when we reciprocate 1/2, the denominator, which is 2, becomes the numerator, and the numerator, which is 1, becomes the denominator, or simply whole 2. So the reciprocal of 1/2 is this thing. So let's move on with the operations. Positive, or addition. When we add, we get to the absolute values. 1 plus 2, we have a very simple positive 3, because they have in themselves some somehow hidden positive sign, and we go on with the addition. Alright, when we have negative 1 plus 3, when we have different signs or unlike signs, we actually subtract them. Subtract the greater value, that's 3, with the absolute value of negative 1, and that's 1. And that will become 2. The symbol or the sign of the number which has a greater absolute value will follow, and this has positive, and so we have here positive 2 for the answer. Alright, when we have 2 plus, we'll have to enclose negative 5, because we will have confusion if we withhold. That would equal to what? Right. the absolute value of negative 5 I mean, is 5. Subtracting it, because they have unlike signs, to 2, we have 3. But what will be the sign of 3? We will follow the sign of the number which has the greater absolute value between the two. And the absolute value of negative 5 is greater than the absolute value of positive 2. So we follow this negative 3. In logic, if you are indebted, I go on to this. If you're indebted with $1 and you pay $3, you will cancel your debt, but you will only have to pay for $2. The value of this thing over here will be reduced. That's 3 minus 1. 2 plus negative 5 equals negative 3. How come? With logic, we have a debt of $5. A debt over here, this is the negative. A debt of negative 5, and then we pay $2. And so we will have an outstanding debt of negative 3. So therefore, we understand the logic of addition. Next thing, subtraction. Subtraction is almost the same with addition, in that we just negate or reverse the minuend, or I don't know, it's a subtrahend because I'm just so confused with that. Alright, let's just say 5 minus 7. This positive 7, to expand this, we have 5 minus positive 7. Am I right? So this positive 7 will become negative 7 because we will negate the second term, and therefore we will have an addition. The operation will become addition. 5 plus negative 7, and then applying our skills to from addition, we'll have 5 plus negative 7, that's 5 minus 7, we will have negative 2. You're indebted with 7 and you pay 5, you're indebted with 2. Negative 2. Alright. Next, we have 3 minus 1. Or let's say, I would like to make this negative 1. This one will become positive 1, and the addition will, and the subtraction operation will become positive. It's 3 plus positive 1, and we will have 4. If you check your calculator, you will have the same answers. Okay, that's all for arithmetic operations, and look out for the next video with or for the multiplication and division.